Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to the Community Talk Show. I'm your host, Mohammed Amin. You're listening to me live from the studios of Radio Aapke Awaz here in the heart of Alum Rock in Birmingham. You can listen to us as always on www.aapkeawaz.co.uk. Recording of our programs are normally available on Facebook, YouTube. You can see our Twitter feeds and Instagrams. The studio number is 0121 682 8142. And to advertise and sponsor a program, 07944 808 141. My community talk shows, they're all about local events, and most of my programs are about issues concerning the local community here in Birmingham, extended families, the extended atrocities that have been committed globally, and obviously currently in the winter months there is a lot more charitable needs, and one of the main pillars of the Muslim community is charitable. Your charity begins at home, and what we like to do is promote charities who are active, serving the needs of the communities. And this evening I have a gentleman here from Family Relief, a registered charity, and we're going to discuss with Abdul Kadir, who is the trustee of the charity, and just have a conversation about the type of work their charity do, the areas where they work, what they do, what they deliver. And as I'm having the conversation, if there's anything you would like me to ask specifically, please mention it in the chat box, and I'll certainly ask that appropriate question for you. So once again, you're listening to me at Radio Aapke Awaz, and for the next 15 minutes we will be covering the work of our charity called Families Relief. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Welcome to my program. I gave an opening of the type of work that the charity does. Explain to me, why did you feel there was a need to set up Families Relief?
To be fair and honest, if we look in the last 50 years, there have been a lot of upheaval. If you look at the situation in Bosnia, if you look even in Tunisia, in Pakistan, in Kashmir, in Afghanistan, in Jordan, in Syria, in Yemen, in Gaza, and everywhere you look, Lebanon, which I go every year, every country I go myself.
MashaAllah.
This is how you see me. That I was distributing aids there in Lebanon.
MashaAllah.
And every time I go, I see the situation is deteriorating. I mean, I will just give you an example. I can just sit here all day talking. But I will just give you a quick example. When I was in Lebanon last year, they are living in a tent this size, 10 people in it. It's raining, it's cold, it's snow fell, they are close to mountain, no money to put heating. The children have no school to go. So we don't talk about the human pain, the human suffering. You see, what me as a charity do, to be honest, I do only a little bit. I wish, Allah knows my heart, I could do a lot more to help them.
MashaAllah.
I mean, I will just give you an example. I pray Salatul Jummah, I finish. The Imam came to me, said, Sheikh, you know the Arab respect. Sheikh, there's a sister want to see you. I have sent a translator for you. The sister said, my daughter, 18 years old. She can eat through tube only. And the medical treatment for her, 9,000 pounds.
£9,000.
9,000.
Okay.
Now, where will I find 1,000 pounds to give to one person?
Yeah.
If I give it to you,
Yeah.
that means all these people in the camp will not get
G.
one parcel of food.
Yes.
So the pain, the suffering of the refugees is unbelievable. I have traveled 15 times to Greece. I have sent, by the grace of Allah, 11 containers in Greece. And I have been in Greece 2 o'clock in the morning, go in the sea, till here soaking wet. And sometimes up to here soaking wet, holding my mother in Islam. Sometimes they're pregnant, crying.
Okay.
Then I say, go in the toilet. Here's clothes, change yourself. So it's unbelievable, the pain of this ummah. And it's really painful to me to see the pain, the suffering, and it breaks my heart. I'm not doing enough to help them.
Okay.
And if you say why, I can do things according to my budget.
To your budget, yes.
And if my budget is £1,
Yes.
I can go, I spend £5.
G.
I have to stick to that budget of £1. So this is really why there's a need for charity like Families Relief. Now we are committed to keep families together.
Yes.
Because a society is not a society without families.
Without family. And also the Muslim Ummah, the extended family stays together.
That's
Unfortunately, a lot in the West don't understand that. With the Muslim Ummah, mother, father, grandfather, grandmother, children, it's a unit, isn't it?
right.
You mentioned the Greece. Where are the refugees from in Greece?
In Greece, the vast majority of the refugees come from Syria.
Okay.
And few odd come from Africa.
Yeah.
But Africa is tiny.
Tiny.
The vast majority, Syria.
They're from Syria because
War torn countries.
whilst Syria is not in the limelight,
That's
there's a constant that conflict hasn't finished.
Exactly.
Yes.
Because you hit it there. Because it's not on the headline,
G.
we think there is no conflicts.
Yeah.
And these people are still suffering on a daily basis.
Because you see, a lot of us here in the UK, excuse me, we see what the mainstream media show us. We see what the mainstream media portray us, whether it's the national television networks or the independent networks. So if they don't show us any footage of what's happening with Syria or Greece, we think that conflict is gone. And it's the same thing with some parts of this media. They tend to highlight certain issues more prevalent
they
than
want
others.
to highlight.
G.
So like me, for the 50 years, I have involved in charity. And I give my heart and soul for the love of Allah and help the poor and the needy until Allah take me away. Because I have a passion to serve them for my qabr, nothing else. I don't take wages, I don't take percentage, I don't take anything. I'm a pensioner, I live on my pension. I want to give everything to them. They deserve more than me. They don't have what I have. You see, I get clean water, they don't get clean water.
Yes.
I got a roof, they don't have a roof. They're living in tent. And all that deserve for me to say, wa shukrulillah, wa shukrulillah, wa shukrulillah. Not enough in one day to thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You see, so Families Relief pride itself, like today,
Gee.
I just returned back now from Wales.
That's you.
We have sent a container of clothes, Zimmer frame, wheelchair, and so forth to Gambia.
Okay.
They don't have all this thing. They need it. So we try. I have sent 5 containers to Syria. Food, clothes, blanket, shoes. So we try with the help of the Ummah, wherever there's a greater need, we do it. I mean, like now in Gambia, we have built a school. We have built masjid. So everywhere we look at the needs. We want the children to grow up in a stable environment,
Yeah.
understand the deen.
Yeah.
That is our priority, because if you're a good Muslim, the country will benefit from you, your parent will benefit from you, the society will benefit from you. So we have to balance the two, work and also faith. Go hand in hand.
Abdul Qadir, you made a valid point a few minutes ago. If you only have £1 in donations, how can you spend £5? When there's a greater need, whether you're talking about Syria, Gambia, Lebanon, Gaza, Pakistan, how do you play that balancing act? That must be very, very difficult.
That is a very good question. Basically, if as you have seen here the leaflet,
Gee.
it will tell you here all the country I work,
Okay.
and then I will go in masjid,
Gee.
I will go on radio. I say today I come make an appeal for the refugees.
Right.
Okay, I come to this radio, I make a live appeal,
Okay.
say for the sake of argument, Lebanon.
Right.
I live here, I have got £1,000.
MashaAllah.
So this £1,000, that's the only money I have to spend for the refugees in
For
Lebanon.
that specific project.
And then I go in a mosque down the road. The mosque said, okay, I'll allow you to do chanda. I say, I'm here doing appeal for Lebanon. They give me £500. So in total, I have £1,500 to spend for Lebanon.
Yeah.
I can't go beyond that.
No.
That is my budget. And within that, I have to balance it for the food.
When you're talking about a container, I want to put it in perspective. When you're talking about a container that you're going to send off to Syria, what's an average cost of that container? Because what we like to do is I want our viewers and I want our listeners to understand how much this cost entails.
You're talking a huge amount of money. Roughly, I will say around £40,000.
Okay.
Because you will fill the container with food
Gee.
and also clothes because it gets cold.
That's it, yeah.
Blanket, warm clothes.
So you balance it out with a bit of food, bit of clothing.
That's right.
Okay.
And then the cost of the container container will be between 3 and 5, depend on the time of the year, depend on a number of.
Okay.
So then sometime, some country, unfortunately, they charge you the port fees.
Yes.
And some country will say, okay, leave port fees because they are what you call
Yeah, because
they are
it's a charity.
You see, like the container I'm sending to Gambia, which will benefit the community, and they said to me, we won't charge you port fees. So some government in certain part of the world.
Oh, that's good. So with certain countries, you have to pay like import duty. But with some countries, when they know it's charitable, they don't charge you. Oh, that's good. That's good. That's good.
Yes, I mean, it's a very difficult act.
No, it's not easy, mashallah.
But especially in my case, it's not a charity who have a turnover of $1 million. We're a charity.
Okay. So basically, because you are an individual, and mashallah, as a trustee, you are running this, you are not drawing any income from it because you get income through your pension, as you said earlier on. So that's why you haven't got massive overheads, mashallah. And you have volunteers helping you as well.
Yeah. Because I don't believe to employ a lot of people, then I have to pay the wages at the expense of the poor and the needy.
Yeah.
My priority to serve the poor and the needy. That's why you never see families relief go on television. I'm not saying anything wrong,
No.
but I will go and pay £10,000.
That's right.
Or whatever.
Yeah.
And then what's happened?
Yeah.
That will be at the cost of the poor and the needy. I have to take it out.
That's it.
Why should I do that?
And this is why Radio Aapke Awaaz, we are Aapke Awaaz in Urdu means your voice. Okay, so the whole purpose of this station was to promote community initiatives where we can better the area, better the life of the people.
Amin,
And
Amin,
if there's
inshallah.
any charitable causes that we can promote, that's why we do it. Because, you know, before you came on, I didn't know who Families Relief were, mashallah.
That's why.
Okay, so you mentioned, now I know your name, mashallah, your name I remember, and then, you know, as the word gets around, inshallah, we will promote it as well. So
Inshallah.
Families Relief is a registered charity, and
This year, no, sorry, next year will be 35 years.
so it's been running for 35 years. Okay, so what happens if somebody wants to make an online donation, card donation? Can they make a donation?
Of course. You just go www.familiesrelief, one word, .org.uk, and you will see all the work we do.
Okay.
And accordingly, anything you want to pay, I mean, if there's any good brothers and sisters out there who are listening to this radio, I'm building a masjid. I am sold £5,000 to complete that masjid in Gambia. In Gambia, there's 5 villages. They never had a masjid in their entire history.
MashaAllah.
I raise the money, but now with a crisis in Gaza,
Yes.
everybody say masjid can wait, but humanity cannot wait.
Yes. Yes.
Which is true, I'm not, but
it's not
I am
so.
doing my best, if Allah give me life, inshallah,
let me
to
give
build that masjid for Ramadan.
Let me give you another example. We have Ramadan coming up in 3 months.
3 months' time, that's correct.
People give zakat,
That's correct.
which is charity.
That's
Obviously, the zakat can go to Gaza and those type of causes. But where people want to give extra, they want to give sadaqah, that will go towards
That's correct.
the
Masjid.
mosque project.
That's
And the
correct.
masjid project, the other thing what people need to understand is, if you build, I don't know, if you pay £1 toward the building of the masjid, every one person who goes there to read namaz, everything, you will get the equivalent reward
That's true.
until the day of judgment. So
That's
this is like your
Sadaqah jariyah.
sadaqah jariyah. But you see, we talk about sadaqah jariyah, but you know, we don't understand.
Yes.
You know the meaning
That's
of sadaqah jariyah. Yeah.
That's right.
So you know, like even if bless you, you talk about £1,000, and I understand £5,000 is what you need. But if everybody listening to our program says, I can only afford £10, I can only afford £100, or even I can afford £1,000. We have some really wealthy people listening to my program. Okay?
Inshallah.
And then, you know, what they don't realize is they will get bonus reward consistently for everybody who goes there.
Yes.
And this is why it's important, because, and the other thing about it is, if you have to pay, so if you've got to pay zakat, people normally pay it during Ramadan because of the extra reward. But if you do your niyat now,
You will
right,
still get the same reward.
you will still get the same reward because
the situation of the ummah now is
because the
critical.
ummah needs that now.
That's
Mashallah.
correct. That's correct. Because subhanallah, I was in a masjid 3 weeks ago giving talk in Jummah, and the imam stand up, he say, what my uncle is saying is right. The situation in Gaza now, use your zakat now and give it now. Because you are saving life.
That's it.
If you're saving one
but
person,
you
you're saving the
know,
whole humanity.
Allah Ta'ala looks at your intention. Okay? And if my intention is that in March I'm going to pay X amount, but the Ummah needs it 3 months before, the intention is still there.
And you'll get that swab.
And you get that swab earlier. But
Yes.
you know like where people say that if you excuse me, people say that if you make a donation in Ramadan, it's worth X times more.
Yes.
But because your intention,
You won't lose it.
you won't lose it.
Because Allah is Rahufur Rahim. There's nobody is so merciful than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And today, from bottom of my heart, it breaks my heart. I myself, I have been in Gaza twice.
MashaAllah.
I've been in Al-Shifa hospital, which you hear a lot in the news.
Okay.
But if I'm allowed, I will give two stories.
Carry on.
In this country, you go in the masjid, you take wudu. How much water do you waste? You go in the morning, you wake up to clean your teeth, to wash your face. How much water you waste?
Yeah.
But me, I went in Gaza. 4 o'clock in the morning, Azan was given for Salatul Fajr. I look everywhere for water. I could not find water. Eventually, I went in the bathroom, the corners was a tap. Dripping. I took this water with a bit of time.
Yeah.
I make wuzu. I pray my Salatul Fajr. I went to bed. In the morning, because they put me far away from because of danger.
Yeah.
In the morning, when they came to see me, they gave me half of pita bread
Okay.
and a cup of tea. That is my breakfast.
Okay.
They have nothing but and they say, you eat that, we'll come back in half hour. When they come in half hour, they say, Sheikh, you have not eaten anything. I say, I'm not well. They say, yes, look at your face. You look shocking. They said to me, you're not a young man. Go to bed. I say, I have come here to work. If I die, I die. But I'm going to work. So they say, okay, then get in the one, we're going. As it's happened today, we are taking you Al-Shifa hospital to look at the situation and test.
Okay.
If you still know better, we'll tell them, the doctor Al-Shifa hospital, to have a look at you. So as we were traveling, one brother said, what have you eaten? I said, Wallahi, there's nothing in the room. I said, what have you drink? I said, there's nothing for me in the room. So what have you done? I said, in the morning, I wake up, Azan was given, take wuzu. Oh, yes. He says, the water which you have taken to make wuzu, there's chemical and sewage, and that has gone down to your stomach. That's why you're so ill. Now we need to buy water for you to wash it.
To wash your system.
Now me, one day,
Yeah.
look how much I'm suffering.
Yeah.
These people have to use this water 365 days.
Yeah, there's
Who understand what is a pain, what is suffering of these people?
Yeah.
They really pain.
And because you've experienced that, you've actually seen that, it hurts even more now.
Of course. And you know, I went in a school. It was a girl high school. When I talked to the girl said to me, when I left my home to go to school, the work I do, I look. Why you look? I'm scared. Will I be attacked? Will I be able to reach the school safely? And when I leave the school to come home, same fear. And when I get home, door locked. No out, nothing. Now this is a quality of life for my son, my daughter, my family in Gaza. I have promised them. I say, as long as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives me life,
MashaAllah.
I will be a voice for you until I die.
MashaAllah. You are inspirational to us as well, MashaAllah.
Money have no value.
Yeah.
And Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, we are one ummah.
One man,
And if one part of the body in fever, the whole body.
The whole Ummah
And
suffers.
today, if we are feeling that fever, my brother, my sister, this coming Friday at Baba Hawa, we are holding a charity dinner for Gaza. I'm not taking one penny. I'll make it clear. You go on Charity Commission, look, my name Abdul Qadir. I don't get one penny. Rachel, I want to do such. For me, not taking wages is such. I'm working for my Kabul. Help me this Friday. Make it a night for Gaza. We have around 80, 90 tickets left. Make it your family who are going through much turbulence. Come and support. Together, we will help them. We will support them. I need your help to help the Ummah of the Prophet sallallahu.
MashaAllah, thank you. You just have a sip of water and I'll repeat it, and then MashaAllah, I'll ask you to finish off. Viewers, this is Abdul Qadir. Basically, the gentleman is a trustee, and he runs a charity called Families Relief, and has been to Gaza a couple of occasions, also has been to Lebanon, and supported a mosque in Gambia as well.
And inshallah, I'll be traveling to Pakistan next month. We have built 65 houses.
Oh, okay, mashallah. Which part of Pakistan?
Outside Punjab.
Punjab. Okay. So there you are. Gentlemen will be also going to Pakistan to build some houses in Punjab, and wherever the funds are raised for, so if they're raised for Gaza, they're spent in Gaza. If they're raised for Lebanon, they are spent in Lebanon. And there's no admin fee as such, because the gentleman doesn't employ anybody else. All are volunteers. And this coming Friday, 15th of December, there's an event in the name of Gaza Charity Dinner, and it will be a 3-course meal plus obviously the nasheeds. There will be an auction with some stalls, and tickets are priced at £20. All of that money raised will go towards the Gaza appeal. The event is on, as I said, 15th of December, Friday the 15th of December, from 5:30 p.m. till 10 p.m. at Baba Al Hara in B11 1JP, and it is
Grafton Road.
It's in Grantham Road in Sparbrook. It is very important that you share this information, so more and more people can understand, more and more people can attend. So as I said, the event is 15th of December, 5:30 p.m. till 10 p.m. at Bab Al Hara at number 4 Grafton Road, Grafton Road. It's Sparbrook, B11 1JP. And if you need to contact, the contact number for the Birmingham contact number is 0121 440 8840. That's Birmingham 0121 440 8840. And if you want to look up Families Relief, the website address is www.familiesrelief.org.uk, and you can donate online as well. And also any donations you want to make in Birmingham, please make them on Friday the 15th of December by attending the event. All the money raised will be Sadaqah Jariyah.
On Friday, we have a Hafiz from Al-Azhar University. Is a top university in the Middle East. Is a top 10 Quranic reciter in the world, and he will be there.
MashaAllah. So there you are. You have one of the top 10 Hafiz Quran as well, and he will be reciting as well. So it's an opportunity not to be missed. A lot of these things happen in the community, and this is the reason why we like to share all these with our viewers and our listeners, to make sure you get the best of what's available. This event is supported by Radio Aapke Awaaz, and this is why we're promoting it. And we feel that an event in the community needs to be promoted, and this is why we're doing it. So it's a Gaza charity dinner, a 3-course meal with nasheeds, auction stalls and much more. Tickets are priced at £20 a head. All the funds raised will go towards the Gaza appeal, and the event will be held at Bab al Hara at number 4 Grafton Road, that's in Sparbrook, Birmingham, B11 1JP. And please make sure you share this with your family and friends. And those of you who are in Birmingham, obviously, it's easy to get to. Those of you who are not familiar with Sparbrook is in the heart of inner city Birmingham, and it's easy to get to. So more the welcome. There's about 80 to 90 tickets left. We want to be in a position that all those tickets are sold out. And also, if you can't make the event, not an issue, but please send somebody or turn up with somebody to make some donations. As you hopefully understood, Abdul Qadir is here. He's spoken from the heart, gentleman who's been in Lebanon, who's been in Gaza. As you know, the Al Shifa hospital has been mentioned on a number of occasions in the media over the last 60 days, and gentleman's been there, seen that, and obviously the devastation that's been created in Gaza. I don't need to explain any more to you. So if there's any comments that you would like to make, please make them, and we'll gladly put them to Abdul Qadir. As I said, the event is supported by Radio Aapke Awaaz, and hopefully our team representatives will be there. And to book tickets, it's 0121 440 8840. So that's 0121 440 8840. So any questions, please ask me before Abdul Qadir goes. So obviously you said you'll be going to Pakistan. When's the next plan to be go back to Palestine, Gaza? Any opportunity?
Yeah, in January, inshallah, I'll be traveling to Lebanon.
Okay.
And February, I'll be traveling to Pakistan.
Okay.
After that, I stop traveling because it's Ramadan. I
Stay
here, talk on radio, going around masjid, looking for chanda.
Yeah.
So right now, I cannot go to Gaza. You all know the situation.
Yes.
I'm not going to make a promise.
Yes.
Then Allah will be holding me. But we don't know what tomorrow holds.
That's right.
If situation change, a door of opportunity open, I'll be running.
You'll be running.
But right now, I need to be here to raise as much money as possible, so I can give food, I can give water, and I can help with medicine.
MashaAllah. Thank you. Thank you very much. Very, very grateful for your time this evening, and we'll keep in touch.
Could keep in touch, please.
Thank you. And
Shukran.
keep me updated. Thank you very much. Really grateful.
Inshallah.
There you are, and that was one of our charity appeals today. And in the latter half of my program, we will have another conversation, and I will ask my guest to introduce himself. And also, what you got to remember is all of these programs that we talk about, these are your programs. We do these because you ask us to do these. If there's any particular questions you want to ask me, any topics you want me to cover, gladly will do that for you. And I will now have another discussion on a slightly different note with one of my guests. Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum assalam.
Welcome to my program. Brother,
Thank you for inviting me.
thank you. No, thank you for waiting for me. And brother, just introduce yourself, and then we'll go into the discussion.
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Akil Zakaria. I'm a pharmacist by profession.
MashaAllah.
I work in a small town outside Birmingham, Burntwood, but I actually live in Burton-on-Trent. Alhamdulillah, I've been a pharmacist for many years, so quite experienced in the medical field and drug treatment, etc. But one of my main vocations recently is the Palestine cause. And by the grace of Allah, we've been trying our level best to raise awareness for the plight of the Palestinian Muslim brothers. When you say Palestinian, there's actually Christians and Jews.
That's the other thing I was.
So
That's the
main
other thing
Yeah.
I wanted to have a discussion with you.
Yeah.
And literally about an hour ago,
Yeah.
I was having a conversation, and one of those conversations was, when we talk about Palestinian, in theory, you can have a Christian, a Jewish, and a Muslim Palestinian. A lot of the people don't understand that.
Yeah, yeah, right. So, I mean, Palestine is a place that is very sacred to Muslims, Christians, and Jews. It's obviously the birthplace of Jesus, as a lot of Christians will know, or as Muslims we know him as Isa.
Isa alayhi salam.
Hazrat Isa alayhi salam. And throughout history, and also if you look in the revealed books such as the Holy Quran or the Bible, the Torah, you will hear many prophets named who have lived and preached their message in the land of Palestine. So it's a history that is very dear to a lot of the monotheistic religions, particularly, like I say, the Muslims. Even the Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, when he went to Miraj Sharif, he went to the Masjid al-Aqsa,
Al-Aqsa, yeah.
which was the first place where Muslims turned to.
Turn to, yeah, when they pray.
Yeah, so it is a place that's very sacred to a lot of monotheistic religions, like I've mentioned. As Muslims, we will lay claim to Palestine, but Christians have an equal right because of Jesus. The Jewish people too will have an equal right. In Islam, we call the people of the book the
People of the book,
Dhimmi, and they get protection under Islamic law. Like I say, Palestine is a very rich culture that embraces practically most of the monotheistic religions in the world. And Alhamdulillah, even the Holy Prophet ﷺ's, I think his grandfather was born in Gaza. He lived in Gaza.
Yeah.
So Gaza is very sort of dear to a lot of us because of that. Also, other people who are, from the Tabi'in and that Tabi'in did actually come from Gaza and Palestine. But unfortunately, as you've seen the events unfolding since the 7th of October, Gaza has basically been decimated by the IDF, and this is obviously a continuation of a Zionist project to take over the land of Palestine and claim it as what we call, what the West call as Israel. We've been on several marches throughout London, and I came to one in Birmingham as well. And the message that we are trying to give the whole world is that Israel, as it is today, is an apartheid state, and the treatment of the Palestinian people, be they Christian, Muslims or Jews, is total annihilation. It's basically a genocide, and the status of Palestine at the moment is probably worse than South Africa during the apartheid
Apartheid
of South
regime.
Africa, and you know, the people that we term as terrorists nowadays will one day, inshallah, be considered freedom fighters. And
Can I just stop you on that point? When you look at South Africa, you look at the history of South Africa, when Nelson Mandela was prisoned, he was classed as a terrorist.
yes, exactly.
Okay? When the tide turned, that same Nelson Mandela was the hero and subsequently became the president of the
Yes,
country.
Exactly. I was coming to that point. In fact.
Sorry,
and,
sorry.
And in fact, let's go nearer to home. Look at Northern Ireland, for example. Sinn Féin was considered the political wing of the IRA. And it was only very recently, during the Blair government, that they started to have a dialogue with Sinn Féin, and the Provisional IRA was disbanded, and Sinn Féin became a political force that was recognised in the Good Friday Agreement. So, you know, when people sit around a table and have a dialogue, they are able to come to some kind of a solution. I mean, I know during the Clinton years in 1995, they did come very close to a two-state solution until the Prime Minister of Israel got assassinated by a Zionist extremist. So my point here is that there is a solution, and there are methods of coming to a solution if the aspirations of Zionism allows that to happen. I mean, even the Zionist agenda that was started in the 19th century by Theodor Herzl, they wanted a Zionist state to exist in Palestine. When they actually had these aspirations for a Zionist state, when World War II unfolded, and there was the massacre of the Jewish people, the Zionist agenda could have done something about that, but they didn't. What they did is they allowed the Holocaust to continue, and then use the term anti-Semitic as an oxygen to forward their cause for the existence and creation of the state of Palestine. The state of Israel. But the only way they could do that was by dispossession, dehumanization, and forced removal of the Palestinian people from their own land. And unfortunately, since 1948, we've been witnessing that. The first example was the Nakba in 1948, when the Palestinian people openly admitted the Jewish refugees into Palestine, and then literally in 1948 the Nakba started. I don't know if you've seen a video recently, Tantura, which has been circulating about what the Israelis actually did to the Palestinian people. You know, murdering, raping, stealing their homes, their land. I mean, that didn't just happen in 1948, it's been happening since 1948.
I was just going to say, I understand it's been happening since, and also even after this 7th of October, certain parts of the West Bank, it's happening now. But the mainstream media don't pick that up, do they?
The point is, the mainstream media will call this the Israel-Hamas war. they cannot justify what's happening in the West Bank because Hamas doesn't operate in the West Bank.
Okay.
So if they were to use that argument,
That makes sense.
yeah,
Okay.
then it would expose their
Okay.
intentions.
Okay.
So because Hamas only operates in Gaza, if the murder, looting, or whatever, an abduction of people is happening in the West Bank, you cannot use the Hamas argument.
But let me give you an example. This was on one of the mainstream news channels.
Yeah.
That one of the Middle East channels was told by the superpowers to tone down their coverage of what was happening, and they are covering what's happening in Gaza and what's happening on the West Bank as well. And some of those stories that are happening, or some of those atrocities that are being committed on the West Bank, you don't hear about them in the mainstream news.
Yeah, you won't. Because that would, like I say, expose the Zionist agenda completely and unequivocally. If the mainstream media was the mainstream media won't cover this anyway, but the only places you find any mention of what's going on in the West Bank is on social media, and by the grace of Allah, a lot of people are waking up. I mean, we've seen when we went to a few of the marches in London, and there was an astonishing amount of young people, young English people, and I was so proud to see them, standing on the right side of history, and also, going out in the cold, standing with humanity. And these kind of things make you so proud, even to be British, let's say.
But you know, what people out there need to understand is this is a humanitarian issue. It's not a Muslim issue.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay? So when you go to the various marches, the mixture of communities that come out. If you start looking at the ethnicities, I can only speak about some of the events that we've been in covering Birmingham. You've got Caribbean community, you've got Palestinian, you've got Arabs, you've got Yemenis, you've got Lebanese people coming out, you've got Pakistanis, Kashmiris, Punjabis, Hindus. All of these ethnicities have come out. Some of them obviously are Muslim, but everybody isn't Muslim. And this is where people don't. And even we've had people from the Christian community, the Catholic community, white Caucasian people have come out.
Exactly.
And you're proud. And one gentleman I saw in Birmingham City Centre about 9-10 weeks ago. And he said, "You know what? I was born in 1948, so he can relate to his age." And he said, obviously the first couple of years of my life, I don't know, but this has been happening ever since. And I'm 75 years old, and the gentleman was like referring me to himself, and and it was quite shocking that this conflict has still been.
It makes it very personal.
That's what he basically did.
Basically saying from the day that you were born.
From the day he was born, that's what he was saying. He's saying that from the day where he was born, he says, I can't comment about anything prior to that, but from the day that I was born, and now I am 75 years old, and I can relate to this problem's still there.
And you'd think that in all that time that some solution would have been made of this. But it just shows that this is obviously a long-term plan. It's not something that they expected to, do overnight, because that would be too obvious. If you do a little bit at a time, you get what's called collective amnesia. And people tend to forget what happened in 1967 on the 4th of June.
And if you think about it, this has been collective amnesia, hasn't it? Because the conflict starts then after a large massacre, and then and this is and there's some evidence to say that the various parties involved knew this was happening.
Yeah.
It's not just come out of the blue.
Yeah, exactly. Well, it's always. I mean, you hear that governments try to bury bad news because it's not good for their politics. I think the issue is that a lot of people will say, "Look, that happened in the past. Forget about it. Let's move forward." I mean, even in this country, even in our profession as pharmacists, we say, okay, this has happened, let's learn from it and let's move forward.
Well, the classic...
Sometimes it's hard to move forward when you've lost your whole family.
Apologies, Akil.
Yeah.
You've hit the nail on the head there, whereas this week there's a COVID-19 inquiry.
Yeah.
And the whole idea of the inquiry is how did the medical profession handle this? How did the government handle this?
Yeah.
And in hindsight, had they done this, it could have been. But hindsight is a good thing.
Yeah.
But where you've lost your loved ones, you can't just draw a line and forget about my loved ones.
Exactly.
Even there's one of the commentators today, one of the witnesses today as well. One of the news reporters was saying that the fact that this lady's lost her husband, and this lady was from Manchester, came into Birmingham, and they were one of those eat out 50% offers that they put on where we were in a lockdown and they allowed the hospitality trade eat out to help out scheme, and unfortunately they were in a public house, and it was one of the branded ones, and there were certain conditions that they weren't adhering to, and they went back to Manchester, and looks like he contracted COVID-19, and when he went through the system, the NHS system was overwhelmed and everything. So she was like a key witness and saying, well, if this eat out, help out didn't happen, maybe my husband will still be around. And this is where you've got your families who've been affected, and you've got 3 or 4 generations affected. Well, how do you say that to people?
Yeah, I think this is another issue that's been happening, is that, you know, when you dispossess or murder, let's say 20,000 Palestinians, how can you not expect those people to become radicalised in future and seek to avenge their own families? I mean, this has happened probably numerous times in the past, where people have, had their whole families wiped out, and then they have nothing to live for. So they'll think, well, you know what I mean, I'm going to go and do my thing to avenge my families. You can ask that question to anybody. I mean, even a few years back, a Russian plane flew over British waters, and there was this big hoo-ha about, oh, this is an act of war, against Russia, they're being aggressive.
You're on our territory.
Yeah, you're on our territory. Yet, if you look at the UK or the Americans, they with impunity will walk, ride their ships into any, sail their ships into any waters,
any national waters,
and will expect those countries to back down and just to let it happen. The biggest issue is that the mainstream media is controlled by a handful of companies like Vanguard or BlackRock, and when they control all the media, the narrative that you're going to get is going to be in favour of the Western agendas. They'll never speak against that, and unfortunately, this is why even organisations like the BBC. You can't expect them to tell the truth, even though they'll say that our news is measured and balanced. Where is the balance? They always speak about hurting the feelings of the Jewish people or whatever. What about my feelings? I'm hurt every day of my life. When I see people dying around the world because of impunity or bigotry from these large countries, the Western countries, and countries like Israel, who have total disregard for the lives of other people that are not within their racial, group. Even so, I mean, even with the in Israel, the Torah Jews.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
I mean, what's happening with them?
Yeah,
They know that according to the Torah, the Jewish people are not allowed to have a homeland in the Holy Lands. And not only that, they're not allowed to take land by force.
That's
It's in the Torah.
It's in the Torah, yeah.
And in fact, a lot of the Torah Jews that demonstrate around the big cities, particularly London, their banners will literally just say that.
I've seen a gentleman from London
Yeah.
who came up to a protest in Birmingham,
Yeah.
and he explained that to me as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah.
And he said, "Look, I call them Torah Jewish people," and he said, some people call them Orthodox Jews.
Yeah.
But he explained that to me,
Yeah.
and he said that he was so pleased that it came into the community here in Birmingham, and we greeted him. I said, look, as far as we are concerned, we greet to everybody, but he wanted an opportunity to say a few words, and he said a few words from the heart. And this is where a lot of it's down to education, and this, like I said to you in the beginning, even the Christian festival of Christmas, the nativity story, and even the nativity is normally celebrated with candles and shepherds and whatever, and they've done baby Jesus with some rubble now, because the local people, the local priests from the church, this is the message they want the world to see. Okay, and then when you look about where Jesus or Isa alayhi salam was actually born, and somebody said, well, Jesus was a Palestinian, and I said, look, I don't want to get into any religious hatred or what have you, but the facts are the facts. It's not me rewriting the history book. The history books have written that.
And in fact, just a fun fact as well. St. George, who's the patron saint of Britain, he's also a patron saint of Palestine.
That's right.
And he's from Palestine.
Yeah,
which is ironic.
Because,
you speak to the government here, and they won't even recognise Palestine.
That's right.
As an entity. Yet, even though it was considered the British Mandate of Palestine before 1948, so. And in fact, when we were going to one of the London marches, we were walking through one of the parks, and there was a World War II memorial stone, big white thing, and on there was different countries' names like India, Pakistan, well, not Pakistan, India. Iraq, Iran, whatever. And Mesopotamia. I think Iraq was Mesopotamia. And the name and the word Palestine was on there as well. But the word Israel wasn't on there.
But Palestine was there though before 48.
So it's like denying a history that was a fact. You know what I mean? And just by changing the narrative, political narrative today, doesn't mean that these things didn't exist. If you say that. This computer doesn't exist, it doesn't mean it doesn't exist. Let's face the facts. It's there.
It's there
for you to see. But unfortunately, this is what they're trying to do for the youth of today, is to change the whole narrative and change history, so that the new message that's taught them is completely different to what the truth is. And this is the sad state of affairs at the moment.
And do you think that a lot of local Palestinians have always said, this is our homeland, we will live here, we will die here. What's the way forward?
I think the way forward has already begun to unravel. From what I've seen, there's a global awakening. People are beginning to wake up to the reality of what's going on in Palestine, or let's say the occupied Palestine state, and a lot of people have also started to examine the terminology as well. You see, this is the problem. Using the wrong terminology can get you into trouble.
Yes.
Like if you say something against Jewish people, you know, that's bigoted or racist, it will immediately be tarnished with the word anti-Semitic.
Anti-Semitic.
Now, the problem is not the Jewish people. The problem is Zionism, the Zionist agenda. So you can clearly speak about being anti-Zionist in terms of political Zionism. And, you know, if you're against political Zionism, doesn't make you anti-Semitic. In fact, the Palestinians have more Semitic blood.
That's right.
So it's actually the Zionists that are anti-Semitic.
That's right.
You know, but since World War II, because of the Holocaust, the word anti-Semitism has become the oxygen. It's one of the vital forces that has allowed them to continue with their agenda in the Middle East. You know, if it wasn't for the term anti-Semitism, and if it wasn't for Hitler causing the Holocaust, the Zionist agenda would have fizzled away. And unfortunately, because of what happened in Germany.
And also the fact that the Palestinians gave them, greeted them with open arms and allowed them, because no other country would have allowed. This is where people don't understand.
The issue there is, as I mean, I'm going to say Muslims, they allowed the Jewish people into Palestine with open arms. Because they were people of the book.
People of the book.
This is what they call dhimmi, people of the book. So they have a special protection under Islamic law. And even when the Muslims left the Iberian Peninsula after the wars with the feudal princes of Europe, the Jewish people moved with them and under the protection of the Ottoman Empire. Because the Jewish people knew that wherever there are Muslims, that's where they will be safeguarded and protected, because the Muslims have naturally been protectors of minorities. And this is why they accepted the Jewish people with open arms. I mean, one of the agendas was to send the Jewish people to Africa.
That's right, I read about that.
I've read in Siberia as well, in the US.
Uganda or
so there's been a lot of agendas, but I think the Zionists wanted the Holy Lands, but that's why the British mandate, I'm sure you know about
the Balfour Declaration,
gave them the land of Palestine. I mean, I know people will say that Palestine doesn't exist, but there's a rich culture that has been there for many thousands of years. So the history. If somebody comes knocking on my door tomorrow, where I'm living in Burton, and says, my ancestors lived here 2,000 years ago, what would you say to that? I mean, what would anybody say to that? You would say, excuse me.
I live here now,
Yeah.
I live here now, forget it, history doesn't matter.
Do you mind?
You can't
it just doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make sense,
The narrative is just irrational. By dehumanizing the Palestinian people doesn't mean that they're still not human beings, this, inshallah, there is a global awakening to this, which I can see unfolding, and I'm just so proud of all the youth today. Like you say, not just Muslims, but in fact Christians and Jewish people, even Jewish kids and Jewish people are demonstrating against the treatment of the Palestinians.
One of the things I remember from our history, going back a few years ago now, was the Arab-Israeli conflict, 1973, the oil crisis. When you start looking back and you think, hang on a minute, I covered this in history like 30, 40 years ago. And it's all reawakening again, but it's coming up. It's never ending. Then somebody else has made some comments about the West's interest in the sea and there's certain minerals and there's certain resources, and this is the reason why everybody wants to control this, and then and it's like like I'm digressing a little bit now, but look what's happening with Dubai with COP28. We're up to 28 environmental, social governance. We still haven't come out with that. 28 years later.
COP75 in a few years' time, you'll be still doing the same thing. They'll be coming down on their jets to these meetings, using fossil fuels, and we'll be paying for our carrier bags.
I laugh at this. That there's a large brand of soft drinks manufacturer, and I challenged an investment manager, and they were talking about ESG principles, and we applied this, and I said, well, look, you've got this particular manufacturer in your portfolio. Do you actually go and see the supply chain and what happens, and if they're using glass bottles, or if they're using plastic bottles, what is the recycling process or whatever But some of these ESG credentials, they may use water through the system, and that water is recycled and used somewhere else in the plant. That's classed as, that's okay, that's ESG. And this is where it's as and when they want it to apply to them, they'll apply to it. Whereas, they don't look at the wider picture. And like fossil fuel, and you're holding this COP28 in the Middle East, like the largest producer of the world's fossil fuel, like oil and gas, and you're asking them to go to alternatives.
It's almost like they just want them to pay for it because they don't want to pay it out of their own money. But it is a joke, because you'll get people coming from 100 countries in private jets and fancy cars, gas guzzling cars, talking about taking the moral high ground about how we need to stop using carrier bags and stop doing XYZ or buying their goods that they're selling to us. I mean, the corporations are making these plastic bags and they're using all these disposable containers, and yet they're pushing it on us as if it's our issue. But it's a never-ending saga, and it's just keeping us divided and conquered. Basically, if we're kept busy on worrying about things like this, then they will put forward their agendas in places like Gaza. I mean, even look at this situation in Gaza now. I mean, I read and heard that there's some new shipping canal that's being built.
That's right.
That's going to go through Gaza.
That's right.
So Israel desperately, occupied, the occupiers of Palestine, let's say, or Israel, want that land so desperately to maybe to compete with the Chinese Belt and Road Initiative. Which is going to basically build a road from China to Europe and Africa. So any country that's sitting in the way of that Belt and Road Initiative, the US seem to happily want to bomb and decimate. So basically, the issue is geopolitics, and fossil fuels controlling the world's resources. And the more resources you control, the more powerful you are. As a superpower.
And that's what's frustrating, because you had like 13 votes, right, for a ceasefire, and one abstained, right, and you think you guys have got permanent membership. What's the point of having that? All the United Nations charters, the Human Rights Convention. You've ripped all the rule books.
They just don't mean anything. I mean, I was reading about, every UN resolution by the General Assembly that was given to Israel. They have completely disregarded any of them. And unfortunately, we used to think that the US held Israel on a leash. But unfortunately, Israel don't give it monkeys about that anymore. It's basically they've broken that leash and they've finished. So the US can't control Israel anymore.
Okay, thank you very much for your time this evening. What would you say as your final message to the decision makers out there, what would be your final message?
I think the decision makers, I think now the decision has come to the people. The decision makers have had their time. They've been doing it for 75 years and no solution has come to it. Like I say, in 1995 they nearly came to a solution, but now I think the solution's in the hand of the public. And inshallah, through social media and mass protests, inshallah, the world will awaken to.
And in a year's time in the UK, there'll be a general election. So, that surely should...
I think people should understand what the needs of the public are. And once they realise what values that the public hold, then inshallah the policies, government policies should and will change in accordance to the requirements of the public. The most important thing is for us members of the public to stay united and not squabble over our own petty differences. And once we're united, we are a force to be reckoned with, inshallah.
Okay, thank you very much for your time. There you are, listeners. I'm just going to be over my time. Apologies for that. Once again, thank you very much for listening in. Until next time, next week, inshallah, we'll come back to you with another appropriate program. Take care and look after yourself. Khada Hafiz.